This is the LCT440 Pure microphone, and this is the Stellar X2. Both of these microphones are high quality. They sound really, really nice. Both have a slight tilt towards the treble region, so there's going to be a lot of clarity from both. And they both retail round about £200. This is the sound of the LCT440 from the front. This is the sound from the side. This is the sound from the rear, back to the side and back to the front again. You can see it's a typical cardioid. This is the Stellar X2 from the front, the Stellar X2 from the side, the Stellar X2 from the rear, back to the side and back to the front again. These microphones can be killers because they pick up all the reverberant sounds of the room. Obviously, the closer you get it to your mouth, the better, because it gets rid of the room sound. But what I'm going to do is take them both further away so you can see how they react to the room. This is the sound of the Stellar X2 close up. I have found in the past that the Stellar is particularly good at rejecting room sound, so it might actually do better in the room. You never know. So this is close up. Now I'm going to take it away and raise the gain. So I'm just looking at my recorder while I'm doing it. This is now the Stellar further away. And what I've done now is about, I would say, 1.5 feet, 2 foot away. And the reason I want to do that is to show actually that you can boom these microphones, but it might pick up a little bit more of the room sound. So this is the sound of the Stellar when it's being boomed above your head. As I said earlier, this one can reject the sound of the room quite well. You don't pick up so much reverb for some reason with the Stellar X2, and I don't know why that is. It is a cardioid, but it seems to be particularly good at rejecting my box room, and I don't know why that should be. This is the sound of the LCT440 Pure at close quarters, how people would normally use it. Now this is the sound when you take it away. Let's just pull it away and turn up the gain. And now what I've done is I've taken the microphone further away and I've raised the gain so that it's probably picking up a little bit more of the room. But the reason I do that is because very often there it is being boomed with my arm. So that's what the LCT440 Pure would sound like when it's boomed above your head. Recently I've been using the big brother to this one, and that's the LCT441 Flex. The reason I use the Flex is because it's almost like the same sound as this microphone, but it gives different polar patterns. For me, that's really useful. If you just want to use a microphone in your front room or in a studio, then probably a cardioid is going to serve its purpose quite well. But with the Flex, I can take it down into my front room and send it, use it on a wide cardioid, for instance, to pick up 2 people in the room. I can even set it to Omni, put it in the middle of a table, and we can all talk, and it sounds great. And I very often use these microphones, would you believe, outside. I do think sometimes we're a little bit sort of sensitive with these microphones, and people test them in sound treated rooms and, you know, the best possible conditions, whereas we just want to use them and get a better sound. So I sometimes take these microphones, would you believe, outside with a portable power supply, a 48 volt phantom supply. If you don't know what phantom supply is, it's basically 48 volts that goes through the cable and powers up the microphone. You don't need to know a lot about phantom supply, but you do need them for this microphone and the other one. So what I do when I go outside is I set up my phantom supply on the line, and it takes the power from a battery, an internal battery. It makes these microphones work really quite nicely. And then with the Flex in particular, I can change the polar pattern according to what the noise is like outdoors. But what I'm going to do is to try and get a feel of how these things react without walls reflecting back at you. I'm going to take them both outside and try them there. Now, to be able to film outside, you've got to be able to take 48 volts phantom power with you. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm using a little box here that supplies me with 48 volts via a battery that's inside. So that means that this becomes a portable setup, which is really, really useful when you're doing interviews and things like that, because you get the really high quality that you can get from these condenser microphones used in outdoor locations. So you can get a really nice sound. Now this is the Lewitt LCT440. It's got another name, Pure, and I'm not speaking particularly loud into it. It's a very grey day. I have to tell you though, don't do this if it's raining or the weather's bad, because it won't work. It'll damage the microphone, as long as it's reasonable. At the moment here it's very cloudy. I've got a light out here actually because it's so cloudy and it's getting dark, and there's a lot of noise going on behind the microphone. But if you can control the microphone by getting it close to you and speaking clearly into the front of it, it will hopefully reject the noise coming from the back. There are workmen out there and all sorts of things going on. So this is the sound of this microphone, the LCT440 Pure, outdoors. And this is the front, this is the side, and this is the rear. And you may be now picking up the noise. Oh, he's just stopped. There you go. So if I come round to here, now you can use this either in an interview kind of situation to get really good quality sound, like you can pass it from one to the other like that, or get it out of sight. And now what I'm doing is I'm speaking into the microphone and it's just looking up at me. So basically the microphone's being used underslung at the moment. You could, if you want to, get someone to hold it above, but you can hold it out of shot and it will still work perfectly well. So that's the sound of the Pure being used outdoors. Only do this yourself if the weather is not too bad. Don't go out in the rain. This is now exactly the same as what I was doing with the old LCT. The noise is still going on, just started up again there now, but this time I'm using the Stella X2. So this is the Stella from the front, from the side, and now the rear, and you might be picking up that noise. So hopefully, to some extent, the Stella is overcoming mostly that noise. Again, don't do this if it rains. And by the way, you probably are going to ask me, what's this cover I'm using on top of the microphone? This is basically a cover that's designed to go onto, I think it's an H4n recorder, a Zoom H4n, and it fits over the top of these and it keeps a lot of the wind off. Although if it's really windy, I think these microphones are going to pick it up. But I don't tend to use them in windy or rainy conditions. Don't do it, it's just not worth it. Now, using the microphone out of shot, because there are no wall reverberations going on now, I've underslung the microphone and I've put it, I'm trying to get it at an angle, getting it at an angle so that it's trying to reject the sound that's in front of me here or behind the camera. And this is quite a bit further away, but it's out of shot, and for all intents and purposes the viewer wouldn't know exactly what you're doing. In fact, I'm holding the microphone just in my lap here, so it's not a big problem at all to be using these microphones outdoors. And I think we tend to be so precious about these microphones. I'll bring it back again. We tend to be quite precious about these microphones, but they are only microphones and they're designed to be used. And the nice thing about these microphones, they're very high quality and they really do sound so much better than using those on-camera shotgun type mics, which are very cheap and great and you can carry them around. But if you want really high quality, you'd get it through these microphones. Another thing I tend to do is I will set the microphone on a stand on a table outdoors. Here we've got a little outdoor table here, or indoors on a table, and I will use the microphone that way and it picks everyone up really nicely. If I use the LCT441 Flex, I can even set it to Omni so it's picking everyone up around it. So this is the sound of the Stella X2 outdoors with no wall reflections. And throughout this whole movie, this whole film, this whole video, I haven't used any sound treated rooms at all, so you can hear what these things will really sound like in real situations. My box room is pretty poor for sound, so if they sound okay up there, they're going to sound okay in most living rooms as long as you get the microphone close. The added bonus, of course, is if you get one of these power supplies, you can take it outside as well and get really fantastic audio outdoors. I do feel a bit of a muppet though, because I'm sitting here with a camera, a massive microphone and a light in my back garden. The neighbours must be wondering, what is he doing? So as far as sound goes, you probably can hear that both the Stella and this one, the LCT440, they have a kind of treble focus sort of sound. You get really good clarity from both of the microphones actually. A different profile, one's round I suppose and one's square. Here's the other one, and if I show you the other one in comparison, they're roughly the same size, except one's round and one's square. The Lewitt kind of looks old-fashioned, I guess, like an old-fashioned microphone. Just put this microphone down, don't want to crash it out somewhere. But in particular, I find the Stellar is very, very good at rejecting room sound. It's just a matter of choice because they're both around the same price. I think the Stellar now has come down in price in the UK and is retailing for somewhere around 190, which makes it a better deal than it used to be, because I used to feel that it was a little bit expensive. So the price has dropped in the UK and it's now in line with something like this, the LCT440. For me personally, I do like the LCT microphones a great deal. I've got a little pencil mic, a couple of pencil mics I think from LCT, the 441 Flex and this one. But I thought I'd compare this one with the X2 because they're coming out at roughly the same price now. And also, by the way, my old review with the Rode, comparing the Rode with it, it's now more in line with the Rode kit as well. So the X2 is a bit better value compared to when I last reviewed them. So if you want to see those reviews, please go back and see them, and at least now you can see something else at around the same price and how they compare. And I hope to see you next time. Cheers for now.